There are lots of kitchen gadgets out there, but you don't need all of them. So today I'm sharing with you my favorites. Okay, before we get started, bonus points if you notice the cat on the bookshelf. I don't know what he's doing back there. He might hang out. We'll see if he settles in or if he jumps off, but that's the thing that's happening. But today we are talking about kitchen gadgets, and I thought this would be really fun because there are so many different things out there. You always see them at the store, on TV, whatever, and it can be kind of overwhelming, and it might make you feel like you need all of them, or you might not be sure which ones are good or which ones aren't. And a little bit of that is personal, how you cook and what you find helpful or not helpful. But today I want to share with you some of my favorites because I am not a kitchen gadget person at all. And when I say that, what I mean is I try not to buy a lot of gadgets because to me, I feel like they can take up extra space and just become more clutter in the house. Because when I think of gadgets, I think of things that really serve maybe one or maybe two purposes, or they're things that are kind of specific in the way that you use them. So, oh, he jumped down. So when I'm looking at gadgets, I really try to just buy the things that are really gonna make a big difference in my life and really actually help me, rather than take up extra space and do a job that I could easily do with some other basic kitchen tool that I already have. And I was just thinking, if you would like to see a video on my kitchen basics, you know, the knives, pots and pans, the things that I use all the time to make my meals, then I could do that too. So if that sounds interesting to you and you'd like a video on it, just let me know in the comments and I can make that happen. Now getting to the kitchen gadgets that I want to show you today, the first thing that I really love is my salad spinner. And just so you know, I will have all the things I'm talking about today linked below the video. So if you're interested in checking anything out, then that will be there for you. But this thing is amazing, but I resisted it for a long time. I always saw salad spinners, and to me, I just thought that seems like an extra thing. It seems like something you don't need. It takes up a bunch of space. It's kind of just like a gimmicky thing. You could just easily wash your lettuce in the sink or in a bowl or whatever. It's not that big of a deal, and just dry it off yourself. Why do you need this specialty product? But I was starting to get a little irritated with the salad washing situation because especially when I get salad out of the garden or I get it from the farmer's market, you know, there's quite a bit of dirt and grit in there and you got to get that stuff out of there. And so you have to go through this whole process and then the drying and everything. It's just kind of annoying. And so I started to think about a salad spinner. Maybe I wanted to get one. And then one day I was in Target and I saw this guy and it was sitting there on the shelf with one of those signs that you see at Target sometimes. And it was like, if you buy this today, then you will get a $10 gift card with your purchase. And I was like, okay, if I'm gonna do it, this is the time, this is the day. So I bought it and I love it. This thing has changed the whole salad situation. I mean, obviously you still have to wash the lettuce and it's still a process, but this just makes it so much easier because I can do everything in this one container. So let me take this apart and see if I can do this without dropping everything in the floor. So what I do when I wash my lettuce now is I chop it, I put it in this to rinse it off, fill it up to the top, you know, swish it around. Then I take it out by hand in kind of fistfuls and, oh, this is the balancing act. I've got 3 pieces here. Okay, I put it in this part, the strainer part, and then, you know, I dump this water out and I kind of repeat that process until there's no more grit coming out in the water. Then I can take it, you know, with the lettuce in the basket, put it in, pop on the lid and do the pumping thing, and you know, it spins and it pulls all the water out, and it's just a lot more contained and a lot easier, and it just makes the whole process a lot less annoying, and that's worth it to me, especially because during the year, I use this thing about once a week, and during the spring and the fall when we're having more greens, I probably use it 2 or 3 times a week. So it really has made a difference for me because of the way I eat and the types of things I make, and it's just made the whole process a lot easier. The next kitchen gadget I want to talk about is an oldie but a goodie, and I actually don't have it here with me right now because it is working hard for me in the kitchen. So I will insert a little picture, but I think you're all familiar with it, the slow cooker. Slow cookers are wonderful, and I won't talk about it too long because I think we all know this, but I think this is definitely a specialty type appliance that's worth getting, because even though you can do the same thing, you know, in a pot on your stove, the slow cooker just makes everything easier because you can set it and let it do its thing and step back and not have to worry about it. Now, I know a lot of people use their slow cookers to make actual meals. The way I use it most often is actually to make broth, because I can put, you know, whatever bones I have or vegetables or whatever, set it, let it do its thing, you know, and then it makes broth for me and I don't have to worry about watching a pot simmering on the stove. Though sometimes I do make, you know, soups, other recipes, you know, pulled pork or something like that. It definitely does get used for those things, but the broth is probably the go-to thing that I use it for, and that's actually what it's doing right now. So it's really nice for that. And you know, they're really sturdy, and a lot of people have slow cookers that they've had for years. So it's something that will probably stick with you for a while, and you have a lot of options too, depending on how fancy you want to get with it or how simple you want to go. Now, I know a lot of people love the Instant Pot right now, and that's cool because you can use it as a slow cooker, but you can also use it to saute in and as a pressure cooker and all that kind of stuff. I myself don't have an Instant Pot, but they can be fun, I guess. For me, I just feel like I have my slow cooker and it's working fine, so I don't really feel a need to replace it. And again, I don't want an extra gadget right now, though maybe I'll get sucked into the Instant Pot craze eventually, because I know a lot of people really love it. But if you are considering getting a slow cooker, then you might want to look into that and go that direction because it does have more options. But then again, you might not need all that stuff and you might want to go basic. But that's what's nice about slow cookers, is because there are so many options and sizes, fancy ones, not so fancy ones, so you can really get whatever you need for your situation. The next gadget I want to show you is one that it just sounds like one of those things that probably wouldn't work out that well, but it actually does. So this is the Veggie, and even the name is kind of silly, let's be honest. But this is a tool to spiralize vegetables. And if you're not familiar with the whole spiralized noodle vegetable situation, it's basically just taking your veggies and putting them through something that creates these like noodle shapes. And so there are a lot of different tools and gadgets out there to do that. But I like the Veggie because it's very cheap. It's super affordable. A lot of the heavy-duty spiralizers can get pretty pricey. And again, I'm not trying to spend a bunch of money on something that only does one thing. The other thing I like about the Veggie is that it is small and compact. It's not going to take up a ton of space in your house, unlike some of the other spiralizers out there. So, you know, if you're really intense about spiralizing vegetables, then maybe you want to get one of the bigger items. But for me, as someone who's a little more casual with my veggie spiralizing, this is perfect, and it didn't set me back very much money at all, and it's super, super compact. Now, this is good too because it has two different sizes. So you can put the veggies through this side and it's a little bit bigger noodle. If you put it through this end, then it's a little bit smaller, so you do have a couple different things you can do there. And then this is the guard thing that you kind of stick into the end of your zucchini or whatever you're spiralizing, just to protect your hand so you can hold on to it and not be putting your fingers down near the blades. And a side note on the whole spiralized veggie thing, just because I'm talking about this does not mean that I think you should never eat pasta again, or that carbs are evil or gluten is evil or anything like that. That's certainly not the case, and I still eat those foods. I just think the Veggie is fun because it allows you to incorporate veggies in a different way. You know, you can use it in different recipes because it has that different texture and the different shape. Just be kind of fun. Also, if you have a lot of veggies at once, if you're shopping at a farmer's market or if you have a garden situation, I think this can be good because especially with zucchini and summer squash, if you're growing those, the plants can tend to go crazy. You can have all of these squash all at once and you're trying to give them away and you don't know what to do with them. And so having a tool like this where you can, you know, make them a different shape, maybe use them in a different recipe, I think can be kind of helpful. The next gadget I have is something that is super simple, but that really does make a big difference. And that is the mini spatula. I got this duo together, and so it gives me a little bit of options. You know, this is kind of a classic spatula shape. This one is a little bit of a scoop thing going on, so that's nice. And I got these because Jason actually mentioned one day, he was like, you know what? When I was little, my mom always had a mini spatula. And I was like, what are you talking about? I've never had a mini spatula. And he was like, you know, they're awesome because you can get into like the bottom of a peanut butter jar or a sauce jar or something like that and get out those last little bits that are really hard to get with your spoon or your knife, and you're kind of doing these weird angles. It's just not really working. So I was like, okay, I'll keep an eye out. And when I was at the grocery store one day, I saw this little pair in a package and I went ahead and bought them. And these things have been great because they do exactly what he said. It makes it really easy to get stuff out of the bottom of containers, the bottom of jars, to get that last little bit that can be so hard to reach, and it means that you're not wasting that food, and it also means that it's a lot easier to clean those jars if you are reusing them or recycling them or whatever. So the mini spatula, it might not be something that you think about, but it really can make a big difference. Also, spatula pro tip, whenever you're looking for spatulas, you want to get ones that are either one whole piece of silicone or that have the removable heads like these. And the reason for that is because stuff can kind of get gunked up around here, which is not good. You know, you can start to get some not so great things happening, you know, weird food stuff, weird things growing. We don't want that. So you want something that's all one piece, so you don't have that area where things can get kind of stuck, or one where you can take it apart, and so you can easily, you know, clean inside here, clean the handle, so you know there's no weird stuff growing, mold, just nasty extra food bits. You don't want that. So make sure to look for that whenever you're buying a spatula. The next gadget is actually another one that was suggested by Jason, and that is the Waffle Maker. This one is from Oster, but you know, any kind works. There's tons of options out there. There's flippy ones, there's ones that come in different shape. I don't think it really matters. It's just whatever you like. But this is something, again, that I felt like, do we really need that? We don't make waffles that often. What's the point? But we got it, and I'm really glad that we did. Now you might be thinking, Sarah, waffles are great, but what do they have to do with healthy eating? Well, you know what I think? I think waffles might not be the superstars of the nutrition world, but they are the superstars of the tasting good and being fun to eat world, and that means that they have a place in my life and on my plate. And that's the thing with the Waffle Maker. I resisted it because I felt like we can make pancakes. It's basically the same thing, and then we just do that in pans that we already have with spatulas that we already have and stuff, and it's not anything extra taking up space because we don't make waffles that often, to be honest. But Jason was really pro the Waffle Maker, and so I was like, you know what? Let's get one. And I really like it because when we do make waffles, it's really nice to have a waffle. I mean, pancakes and waffles are not the same thing. They're both fun, but they're not the same thing, you know? Having those crispy edges and those little pockets where the syrup kind of pools in there, it's a nice thing to have. And this really doesn't take up that much space. It's pretty compact as far as appliances are concerned. I can easily put it up in a top cabinet and just pull it down when we need it. Sometimes I need Jason's help depending on how high up we put it, but it's a good thing to have on hand, and having waffles when we do have them just feels super special. It's super fun, and I really like it. And you know, I haven't gotten into any of the like Waffle Maker hacks, cook everything in your Waffle Maker situation. So I guess if you're into that sort of thing, then that would make this something that you would use even more often. That's not really my thing, but like I said, if you're into that, then that might make this even more worth it for you. And let me know in the comments, what are some kitchen gadgets that you really love, and if you are a fan of any of the ones that I mentioned. And if you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you're new here and you want more healthy eating tips, nutrition info, healthy recipes, all that kind of stuff, then make sure that you subscribe, because eating healthy and living a healthy lifestyle really doesn't have to be complicated, and I want to show you how to do it. Thanks for watching. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll talk to you next time.